I have a call.
Phone. Hi.
Hey.
Alexis
It's
from
Kill Radio.
LACBC. How you doing? And
Good.
And KPFK Bike Talk. And here's Alexis on the phone with Nick.
how you doing?
Good.
What's going on today?
Well, today we're doing a little 4th Street meeting at Chateau Park this morning at 11. And then we're going to head out and ride along 4th Street and catalog all the potholes because they have gotten pretty bad, especially as you move further west there where some of that old concrete needs asphalt. There's some pretty deep ones. And as you guys may be aware, if you call in 311 or go to the Bureau of Street Services website, you can log in all the potholes that you see on your daily commute. And, you know, the city has had some budget problems, as we all are aware. So they're not out there repaving roads as sort of quickly as I think we'd like. They're doing a lot of pothole patches. So we're going to try and help them prioritize streets that have that cyclists use and make sure that the streets that we use are getting fixed and repaired first, since a pothole along our route can mean a broken arm, a bent up bicycle, and a lot of other problems, whereas for a car it may only mean, slightly off axle or something like that.
So how do you catalog a pothole?
Well, the way DWP or the Bureau of Street Services takes the information is you list the street where it is, closest intersection, if you have the street address that's closest to it, and then if you just list, it's on the east side of the street, or just as much information as you can give, and then theoretically they send folks out to try, and they have a set of patch trucks that are out at all times that go out and patch the potholes.
Cool. And so you think that that they'll respond to the LACBC's potholes faster if you're more organized and have more people calling in? Or
that's my hope, is that we can start flooding their system, and all the pothole requests they're going to start getting are going to be from people on bicycles, and I think that'll make a big difference, because I see potholes along the way that I've called in, and they have gotten fixed. So, I think that they are trying to respond, and I know that it's a huge city with a lot of miles of roads, but I think this can help, at least in the short term, try and make our routes a little bit smoother. We need to really make the bigger push of getting them to incorporate in the bike network to their prioritization system for when they go out and do street repaving. I know right now that they do currently integrate where all the bus lines are into their system, so they are aware of where bus routes are, and so I want to make it similar with the bike routes, having them know where all the bike routes are, so that those are a priority for them when they're out repaving.
Right. So what are some other bike routes?
Well, right now we're taking input from folks on what the next roads they'd like to have. We're sort of launching this new campaign, the Good Roads LA campaign, and we are looking for volunteers that can help lead rides, organize the rides, collect the data, and also input it. So if folks are interested in helping out, they can contact either myself or they can contact our volunteer coordinator, Joni, and our email addresses are on our main website, where you can find them on the blog, I think, as well.
Okay. So, and what else are you doing in the coming week or month?
Tomorrow, we also have a really fun ride. It's one of our Sunday Fun Day rides. It's called Crosstown Traffic. And that's going to be meeting up at 9:30 a.m. at the Westwood Recreation Center. And this is a members-only event, but folks that want to come and I think members are allowed to bring a guest, and if you sign up to become a member that day, then, I think you get a discount on your membership. So that is going to be trekking through from the west side to the east side, and should be a fun ride. It's led by one of our board members, Greg Lemley. You guys may know his family runs Lemley Theaters.
Oh, so yeah, wait. Yeah. So does this happen regularly?
Yeah, our Sunday Fun Day rides are the first Sunday of every month, and they are led by our board members, and our board members sort of set the route and choose a ride that sort of reflects their riding style. So we've had a couple of different rides, from sort of a family ride in the valley. Ted Rogers led a West Side ride, I Heart the West Side, and then we just had a big one, and by big I mean it was like epically long, ride up in the San Fernando. I think it actually went from like San Fernando, Altadena, Pasadena, up in that area, or St. Gabriel's, pardon me. And that was with a lot of climbing, over 4,000 feet of climbing. So some rides are really easy, sort of fun family rides, and some rides are sort of more for your roadies that want to, get 100 miles in and get a lot of hill climbing. And I think we're going to have a mountain bike ride coming up, and so it's going to be a mix of rides to suit all different types of riders and get folks out and engaged with LACBC.
Sounds great. And so I guess you're going off to 4th Street now to start cataloging.
Yeah, running off to 4th Street. I did want to share some good news. Yesterday, the City Council decided to fund doing a citywide Safe Routes to School plan for $1.2 million, which is going to be funded by the Measure R local return pedestrian set aside. And this is going to help the city prioritize the schools of greatest need. For folks that aren't familiar, Safe Routes to School is a federal and state grant program that cities apply to fix the infrastructure and make it safer for kids walking and biking to school. And it also provides funding for schools to do comprehensive education and encouragement programs to educate kids about bicycle and pedestrian safety, and also to create programs that help and encourage parents and kids to start walking and biking to school. Things like having a walking school bus or a bike train, just some fun ways to get folks out walking and biking. And in our cities, about 15 to 20% of morning traffic is caused by parents dropping their kids off at school. And so this is one of the ways we can start to address that issue and make it safer for our kids is through getting Safe Routes to School grant dollars, which the City of LA has not been very competitive at. Because it takes really an involved process where we work the school, you work with the school and the parents, and DOT generally runs this program or the grant applications, and they don't really get out there and take the time to see what the schools need and engage with the schools. And part of that is because there's sort of this silo between LAUSD and the City of LA. But this is to try and break that down and really prioritize our schools with the greatest need based on collision data and socioeconomic factors. We know that when we look at low-income communities, people there are 4 times as likely to be hit by a car while walking or bicycling, and that's where we have the greatest health impact. There's the higher rates of obesity in low-income communities, and there are already more people walking and biking to school. So we want to prioritize those neighborhoods across the city and make sure we're trying to make it safer for them for walking and biking to school and make our grant applications more competitive. So we really bring back those dollars and address those schools. And also because it's a 2-mile radius around the school, it's going to be a really great way to start adding some additional dollars to our pot to improve the biking environment just citywide anyway. So a lot of these schools are along routes that are identified in the new bicycle plan. And so we have some specific treatments that can be applied, grant money can be applied for, and hopefully we can start to bring back more money to implement some of the bike plan through this process.
Wow, sounds good. Here's Chicken Liver. Okay, Alexis, I'm going to take the gloves off, and I'm putting you on the spot right now. The last time you did a ride with city leaders, we went on some really crummy streets. Was that supposed to highlight the fact that there were potholes there, or were you just like showing off that you can ride on any kind of terrain or something? I want to know, was that a conscious effort? It's like you've got all these city officials, and it's like, oh, these streets have just a few bumps or something, and they were just destroyed. And I noticed right afterwards people were like taking pictures, shooting them, getting on the phone and stuff. Is that the only way we can get city leaders out there, is if we tell them it's a fun ride, and then the next thing you know, they're sort of trekking cobblestones or something like that? You can answer now.
Well, I think, I think part of it, you're, I think, referring to the EPA ride, and we came up on 4th Street, and 4th Street was in pretty bad repair. I think some of which I didn't really realize at the time how bad 4th Street had gotten on that west side, especially where all the concrete is. But the other part of it is I really wanted to, with that ride, highlight just how many great sort of residential streets we do have. And yes, there are problems on a lot of those streets, but those are great ways to get around town. And repaving those streets is, if that's the only issue that we have to deal with to make those streets better, that's not a very big issue. So I think it's really, for me, it's important to show that, like, hey, if you just repave this road, we could have a great bike route. And I think getting folks out there, because a lot of politicians don't ride bikes, and in the case of that ride, we had the head of the EPA who does ride bikes, and people from the Department of Public Health who do ride bikes, who really get it and want to see Los Angeles become a more bike-friendly city. And if we can showcase that we do have some great roads already that are appealing for people, whether they are, parents with kids or older adults, and the main issue that we're facing on those roads is pavement quality, that's not such a bad thing, and that's something that we can fix pretty easily. Unlike, some of the major streets where we really have to do a lot of work to try and slow traffic down, do traffic calming, take away a lane. There's some larger issues there that we have to get through. So with that ride, I did a showcase of, we did the Path, we did Venice, we did Cochrane up to Fourth, and just sort of showcased a bunch of different street typologies so that people can get a feel for what it is like to bike around Los Angeles.
Well, so thank you for calling in, Alexis, and anytime you want to call in, and every week would be great.
All right. Well, thanks so much,
hold on
guys.
A second. Wait, Chicken Little doesn't want to let you off the phone without asking if you're doing anything for Ciclovia next week.
Oh, yeah. We are actually going to be doing, there's going to be a bike valet that we're running over in Little Tokyo. This is, I think, one of the spots last year that I guess folks didn't really get a chance to enjoy, so we're having a pit stop there where there's going to be bike valet, I think, in front of the Japanese American Museum, so folks can stop and have lunch and free bike valet and enjoy all the things that Little Tokyo has to offer. And we'll, of course, have lots of folks out just along the ride, spreading the word about River Ride. And hopefully we're trying to figure out if we're going to do one or two other little pit stops along the way where we'll have, an air pump out and some tools and just little things to smooth people's rides over. Because I know last time I was out near Hollenbeck Park on 4th Street, and I had a pump and some stuff, and I ended up filling a lot of tires that day. There's a lot of little kids out with their little bikes with the training wheels, a lot of almost flat tires, like the bikes hadn't been out of the garage in a long time. So we want to make sure the folks are out there have bikes in good repair. So we'll hopefully have our tools out and be able to help out.
Okay, good. Sounds good.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks. You too. All right. See you.
Ah.
All right. Well, I called Stephen Box and Alex
Yeah.
Thompson to talk to us, but
Of course.
heard back. And what do you
Yeah,
got going on?
these guys are out all night trying to
Yeah.
canvass the area, getting
we're-
new political thought.
Isn't that what you do too?
No, I go out and just try to have a drink with every third person I meet. So I'm kind of
Much
hungover.
more, yeah, much more
I
relaxing.
started on Thursday with somebody from Davis thinking we'd be riding bikes all around. Needless to say, I think I've ridden less this week than I have in a while, and it really made me think about how people are getting around nowadays. I got to be a passenger in a car, and I know you're going, everybody's breath sort of held here, but it was a Prius.
It was a Prius.
And so it was quite an experience. So I was amazed by the technology, but I thought, is this the next thing? And as you see me on the floor working with some of the Kill Radio antiquated equipment, I got to record the president's speech, and I'll cue that up later. But what I wanted to address right now was the fact that I was in a car. I do bike around Los Angeles, but made me rethink the landscape of our own Los Angeles. And it was funny. All the major arteries, this is at rush hour, were packed. And so what did I think? Sillily, I said, hey, I know how to get there on a bicycle. And she sort of looked and said, well, that's not going to help us now. We're in a car. And I said, no, but I know that what streets are less kind of crowded because I've been riding bicycles. So instead of taking the main highway, sometimes I took the arteries. And lo and behold, I thought to myself, should we really get on 4th Street? I said, is it okay to drive 4th Street? And I remembered, well, it's still open to traffic, but is a Prius on a bike lane just as good as riding a bike? And I thought to myself, well, no. And we didn't want to congest it. So a lot of the time, we sort of veered, took it for a block, but we went somewhere else. And I thought to myself, inadvertently, I'm sort of mimicking road diets by how they make you turn right or something. Needless to say, we got to where we needed to go, and then we spent some time. And this is what I thought. We were there on time, and yet we had to find parking. So now the parking kind of equation worked into like your driving habits. It's like, okay, it's not my bicycle. I can't just chain it up front or find a rack out front. I've got to go look for parking. And we found parking. I mean, it's Los Angeles, so we went around maybe 2-3 blocks, and as we're doing this, it's just bumper-to-bumper traffic off Alvarado, and because that's the interchange for the freeways, and so I'm looking at this, and she's going, "Oh, this just seems like Los Angeles I used to remember with all this traffic," and I'm thinking, well, no, we really have done some things. I mean, it used to be really bad, but as I was saying that, there were literally like 10 or 15 different bike riders, not all at once, but riding. And I said, those are 10 or 15 less people that could be in cars. And so in one way, we are making inroads, maybe not fast enough, but truly it was. And I wasn't anti-car. I even said, hey, I could take you on my tandem. And she said, oh, there's no way I'm getting on a tandem. Oh, it's dangerous out there. And I thought, well, yeah, maybe if I'm sticking on Sunset and Alvarado, I was thinking more like maybe the back streets there. So what is that, Hyperion off of Sunset, where there's just one hill and coming down. You're just listening to this going, where is this going, aren't you?
It's sort of like the ride itself.
Yeah. But people complaining about traffic is not how we're going to equate or get the bike movement for the next level. And it was kind of amazing because after we did get there, I met some people that did take their bikes, and the only way I knew this is because they had their cute little helmets. But when I say cute, everybody thinks I'm sort of jeering them or nothing. No, I'm complimenting on the fact that out of the room, I think about. Maybe there were some kids that came with parents, but most of the kids at this event rode their bikes. So I was really impressed because a third of the population within the room itself of about, say, 50 people took bicycles.
What event?
This was the EPFC event.
Oh, right.
The Film Center had a screening. And there were bikes within the film.
Echo Park Film Center.
Sort of equating with how... the youth is moving. They teach media literacy, and their cycle this month was to film, or it was not so much an adaptation, but an inspiration from Walter Rudman, who did Berlin Symphony of a City back in the 30s, and so they did the same kind of analysis of Los Angeles in 2010, and they did it. The original film was without sound. Well, it had a soundtrack, but it wasn't what we would call sync dialogue or anything of that sort. It was just the opposite. It was, quote unquote, a symphony. It had a score, and it was a dramatic portrayal of how Los Angeles, no actors, no script, no dialogue.
High school students.
Yeah, and there was the bicycles fit into it. There was the shots that kids did on bikes. So it looked like an expensive, what is it, multi-thousands of dollars dolly that was really fluid. There was also parts of the Ciclavia made it last year. And in fact, we'll talk a little bit more today about the Ciclavia.
We just got a message on Facebook saying, too bad April Fool's was yesterday. Your entire radio show could have been about cars. That would have been a good one.
Well, we are talking about correcting potholes on 4th Street. 4th Street is not shut down by any means to through traffic. And at least in my section of Koreatown, the road is semi-drivable. And I say this having looked at things from Tokyo, some of the footage from NHK in the last few things, and the only thing that's sort of getting around some of those destroyed areas are mountain bikes. And the odd bicycle we're seeing now, and I know in Tokyo, when the subway was set down, everybody rode their bikes. And in fact, that was the only thing that could get you from point A to B for a lot of times if you don't have gasoline and you're not walking and you want to get there, as I think it was Mike or one of the other guys told me. Maybe it was even Stephen Box. You're something like 3/4 time faster. So it's... Is that the way to go? For every say you get there in 15 minutes say you get there an hour by walking, you'll get there in 15 minutes by biking. So that's pretty incredible, the reduction on time. For me, time is money.
Yeah,
and if time is money, then
biking's actually more efficient than walking.
Yeah, it is. You're not using the same muscles, but you can still kill yourself riding a bike. I'm the first one to tell you that.
I got another suggestion for a topic for the show.
Oh, we're getting topic suggestions. I
Yeah.
thought we had the topic. It was about how to solve the being called to action by the president this week, and he's looking for all these solutions to energy, and I'm thinking it's just staring us right in the face. I mean, if we reduced, I'm not asking everybody to get on a bike, but I'm saying one of those rides, just like the women from Cycle used to say, you most of your rides are less than 2 miles. If you could take just one or two of those rides, do you know how much tremendous amount of petrol, but gas or anything you're going to be saving?
So
in
what
that
can we do
case?
to convince people to take one of your rides?
And it's funny
bike.
that we're getting to that point, because I have on occasion said that the way you're going to do it is with things like Ciclavia, an enjoyable, fun ride out on a Sunday, and then if people see that they can do 7 miles, and it's not, they don't have to do the whole course, but they see how much fun it is to get back on a bicycle, because here in Los Angeles, or in California in particular, we're so involved with car culture. That's what my friend was saying. It's all about cars here. Every 10 minutes, there seems to be some sort of strange new exotic car that gets really crappy mileage. And I think we're rethinking that equation now. Even the silly, crappier cars are getting better mileage. That's usually a selling point now.
Right.
But a lot of us are having to face the fact that some industry, heavy industry, still relies a lot on cars and stuff. But we're seeing a push now by some of our civic leaders, especially at the port, to use things like electric things to move it. I know that I didn't get into a debate with Russell, but he works down at the port, and on occasion we talk about how they're trying to clean and make things electric. This is in between me saying, "Oh, are you going to film everything I say?" And I'm saying, "Well, you're breaking news. You're down there." And
Who's
he says,
Russell?
"No, I'm hardly breaking news." But that's the kind of thing you tend to feel this, and I know Al has said because of the reduction of the economy, they're able to ride their bikes more at the port. And I'm saying, well, I don't know if that's a plus or a minus. We're polluting less only because we're working less. Maybe we can find that middle ground where we're polluting less because we're working more, but we've reduced our carbon footprint because now some of the vehicles that rode or ran their lifting or crane production on by burning diesel or sooty things are now plugging in, and people say, well, aren't we burning a coal factory somewhere down the line to support this? I'd like to think that maybe it's wind down the road, or some sort of electrical generation from photovoltaics that are powering some of the power at the port. Anyway, having said that, your question was how do we get more people involved? I think it's also the fact that it's not the bicyclists now that we're trying to sell to. It's recapturing, as Alexis said, things that we sort of take for granted now that we've gotten to this road of driving our kids to school. I know that there's that big safety factor and the fear factor, but I happen to believe that we can get away from just the fact that everybody's going to sue LAUSD because they feel that, you have to protect my child the minute he leaves the door. I like to believe that we can give some of that responsibility back to the parent and say, why can't you walk your kids to school? And if it's too far, why can't you present alternatives? I know that there's carpooling, but rarely do I see anybody carpool with more than their kids. So maybe that's an answer too. You were going to interject something there, Nick.
Well, I was just going to say, Ciclavia is going to happen 3 times. There's 3 Ciclavias coming up. Did you know that?
Yeah. Triplavia, right?
Yeah, Tripla Ciclavia.
There's one coming up, and as I say that, this would be the point where I find the Ciclavia tape, and there it is. I'm running toward it.
Okay. Should I stall for
30 seconds.
All right.
Well, you've heard parts of this before from the first time we did this, and what I was amazed is there were all these civic leaders out there, but it wasn't like made for them. I mean, they sort of facilitated it, and I like to say, oh yeah, they did it all themselves. No, they didn't. They didn't facilitate it at all. It was more a committee that we've had here on the show. Steve, Bobby, what is it? Adonia, different people that have seen the effect in other parts of the world and decided to bring it here. And the argument is always, is it something? What are you actually trying to do here? You know, can LA rebrand itself? Can LA get to a different level where it's not just about riding and stuff? And I know, having talked to Steve, who was one of the design engineers and stuff, he was actually instrumental in talking to me and telling me about their inspiration for doing this and stuff. And I think there's enough.
Steve who?
Isn't it Via Rosa or Via Vosa? I'm remembering what Steve's name is off the top of my head.
Okay. Well,
But-
Steve.
He's with Ciclavia.
Oh, okay.
From I want to say he's from the South. He just has a Southern accent, but I know he grew up somewhere southern
Sure.
bound, and he's come here. He had a radio show, and I'm trying to get him here on the radio show, but that's more of a Kill Radio kind of item rather than a Ciclavia item. Anyway, what I remember more about the Ciclavia, and the reason I bring it to mind is the fact that there were a ton of people that talked there, even the mayor talking, and we're going to go to the mayor and all the people getting there for this. It is Kill Radio Bike Talk, and you're listening to a little bit of how the Ciclavia broke out, and it's kind of amazing because I got to talk off the cuff with the mayor. So bring up 2 and let's see if we can do this.
Ride a bike. Hey, friend, how are you? Good to see you. This is great. Some of the families.
There was Mayor Virgus. There you go. So, you'll be accompanying, right? Keeping all these pesky reporters out of the way?
He'll be, we'll try. He might be accompanying me.
It's Chicken Leather talking to the police.
So
they
it's
seem
like
to
a
be
peloton,
all,
right?
everywhere.
Gonna set a pace?
Yeah, very slow pace.
Very
For the
nice.
kids. It's all for the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Are you riding? Of course.
He's not in spandex. They were all saying he was gonna be in spandex. Aww.
So some of the bike riding we always equate with different kinds of competition or stuff, and this is the last of it. There is no competition when it's something like this. And even though it gets to be a dog and pony show, I think we've heard maybe about a third of this with Weezer when he was running for
This is a historical
State
day
Council.
for the city of Los Angeles. I want to thank everyone who
So I wonder when they stop campaigning and they start just producing. So I think this is a good 6 months before the election. So maybe he was just doing it for the benefit. Anyway, here's Kill
What I
Radio.
love about today, and I'm going to bring my family down in about an hour to enjoy the streets of Los Angeles without cars, is that we're going to be able to see our neighborhoods more intently. Because you know what? Oftentimes we whiz by these places. We got to get to know one another. We got to get the exercise we need. And last but not least, the mayor's pushing me out here, so I'll finish. This is a historical day, but we got to do more of it. The city of LA has got to do a whole lot more to support bicycles, skates, and everything else that promotes more pedestrians on the sidewalks and streets. Thank you very much.
All right, now, the man who helped to organize this event, Aaron Paley, Ciclavia Steering Committee member.
Hola, estamos tan orgullosos y tan felices de celebrar la primera ciclavía aquí en Los Ángeles. Bien, ¿vive ciclavía? Con inspiración de Bogotá, de Ecuador, de México, y de otras ciudades. I'm so happy to celebrate the first ciclavia here in Los Angeles, and we're inspired by Latin America. And it's so great that in our city, we find a way to open up the streets, to look at our streets and our whole city in a different way, because we're looking to the south and framing our city in a way that has never been done before. And I want to thank the California Endowment, Bikes Belong, the Rosenthal Family Foundation, and the Metabolic Studio of Annenberg Family Foundation, who gave us the support when we needed it to make this happen. Of course, the Mayor's Office and the City Council. This is a great day. Come out and play. Thank you so much, Los Angeles.
Voy a dar unas pocas palabras en español también, pero en un minuto. With us as well as the
This is, yeah, I love saying last year's because it sounds like an annual event, but no, we're going to do it 3 times. So, yeah, this is the last time we did a ciclovia. And the mayor, and this is Adonia here.
All right, well, I went to Bogota, Colombia 2 summers ago in 2008 with my friend Bobby Gatta, and we got so inspired by what we saw there. We met Jaime, we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to bring this back to our city, Los Angeles. And then we came home, and we went, Los Angeles, that's right, there's something with the city and cars. So we started talking to people, we started organizing, and here we are 2 years later with the support of the city, with the support of the mayor. We're very, very excited to be here. We're very excited to see so many people out here, and I hope everybody gets out on the route, takes a look at what's going on. I'm thrilled to just see what people do with the street now that they're open to us for this special day, and we hope to have more events like this in the future and help Los Angeles become a better place. Thanks for coming. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks a lot.
Adonia. Lugo. With us
Yeah,
as well as
so Chicken Leather here, interjecting again. And as the Dog and Pony Show kind of winds up, we have to remember that it's not about all the political and public officials coming out and talking. It's about you empowering yourself, and this is the week notice. You're going to get another day next Saturday to get out there and get your bike over to a bike collective, or maybe you can do some repair and get out there and do it. But I'd like to think that
April 10th.
April 10th is coming up. You've got 8 days. You've got a week. Wasn't there some science fiction thing that could go back in time 8 days? So this is a point where you can't get to the ciclovia and you tell yourself, if only I knew a week before it was coming.
Yeah.
Well, this is the week before it's coming. And the reason we're going to sort of expound and sort of extend this is because LA is call culture, but next week, this is our real test. If you ride a bike or you want to get your friends out there, or as you say, you want to see parts of the city you never see because you're whizzing by too fast. It reminds me of something that Alex Sumerian from Ride Arc fame used to talk about. He used to say that the city is kind of made, and we're going to play a little clip of that. The city is kind of made for the car. You tend to see things that if you were at a 20 to 35 mile pace through town, so they have to be big. It's not made for people walking. It's made big. Right now I'm looking over and seeing the big Circle K sign that's not doing anything but advertising the fact that the gas prices now are up to $4 and beyond. And it's kind of weird because the last time I did this, it was $4. Well, another friend of ours is on the Dog and Pony Show. Let's see if we can't back it up. Oh, it says this button's unusable. Hold on. I'm going to go back a little. And here we go. It's Kill Radio.
I just want to say that how amazing this is. This is a dream come true. I was part of the steering committee 2 years ago when we met in my cramped apartment living room and wondered how we were going to pull this off. And the fact that it's happening today and we're able to celebrate it with all of you is amazing. I also wanted to say that this is really a new turning point for cyclists in LA County. This is going to bring all of the next generation of cyclists into safer streets in LA and build lifelong cyclists and make more advocates for safer streets. And this is really exciting for the LA County Bicycle Coalition to be collaborating with Ciclovia. So thank you very much. And thank you to the steering committee, Stephen, Colleen, Adonia, Bobby, Jonathan. Thank you.
I love how these guys are addressing this. You know, you talk to the mayor, and it's always like one kind of person or one kind of thing, but they always bring up all the people in their group. But now we're going to go to the creator of the ciclovia from Bogota, Colombia. Here he is, Jaime.
Jaime Ortiz Mariño, advisor to the mayor of Bogota. And you get more than a minute. Yay, Jaime!
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to congratulate you, your administration, and the citizens of Los Angeles for starting this new process. This is a process. For me, it is very special because the circle closes 40 years ago I graduated from School of Architecture in Cleveland, Ohio. And I went back to Bogota with a load of knowledge learned here. Environmental sensitivity, civil rights. I learned and I went through school in the middle of the crisis of American cities. And I went back to Bogota to start something with all that knowledge acquired here. And I was very lucky to find bicycle as a symbol of a whole new mentality. I said, this is the closure of a circle because I'm very proud, I'm very honored to be here 40 years later, coming back up north with an idea that was born in Bogota, but that Los Angeles has started, and I know Los Angeles is going to change the trend in this process because with the personality of the city, with the citizenship of the city, with you, Mayor, this is going to be a new ciclovia. Bogota was the start, but you're going to change because the car city of the United States has entered this new space, and I know it's going to give a whole new personality. So I want to thank you, and I want to send the message of the mayor and the citizens of Bogota as hello for all of you Angelinos, and to wish you the best of luck in this process. Congratulations, and thank you.
Gracias. A man of great ideas and few words. Thank you so much. We are honored to have you here with us today.
That was Jaime, who actually was the mayor in Bogota. Here, we're going to pause this for a second so I can tell you. He was the mayor in Bogota, and let me set the stage. Here, hold on a second. Setting the stage. Okay, Bogota is like rifled, I guess, with drive-by shootings and violence and all this stuff, most of which is revolving around the car. Now, while we don't have the same kind of rampant violence here, we have more cars. They were finding that everything was being committed by cars, whether it be a drive-by shooting or contraband being cars were taking over the streets and stuff. And so what they did is he said, well, I only have one term. What can I do? And he said, maybe this Sunday we'll make it car free. And they said, what? Are you crazy? This isn't going to work. And so what he did is he said, yeah, we're going to block off the streets. And I think he started with even less than 7 miles. And he said, this zone is going to be just for families and stuff and just no cars, and people can come out and use it. Well, the kids immediately said, hey, this is great. The streets are blocked off. And kids doing what they do everywhere got out there with balls and, toys and stuff. And you don't have to tell a kid twice that you can do whatever you want in the street. And that's really what turned a lot of them to say, hey, we can walk here, we can ride our bikes. And it wasn't just about bike people getting out there. It was everyone that can utilize the streets. And in fact, that's what I've talked to some people, and they said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to ride my bike next time. I think I'm going to walk it. I really enjoy walking the streets of Los Angeles. That's my favorite thing to do. I know that Ed Begley's the same way. Everybody always thinks of him as being like the big electric vehicle guy or something, but he really likes to walk. He gets out there and he walks, and he says, secondary, he'll ride the bike or maybe the car and stuff. So I think it has to be with obviously, if I had to work in the Valley, I'm not going to, and I have to take all my equipment, I'm going to get my car running to do it. And it's like, well, is that really an option? Well, I guess I could depend on other things, but I want to be responsible for what I'm doing. But conversely, after I get there and I'm doing it the same place every week, I'm going to start to look to alternatives. Sometimes it's just a matter of preconditioning people to think longer than, oh, I got 10 minutes or an hour. How do I get there the fastest way? It's always like, well, I got an hour. I know that the bus is going to get me there as reliably as whatever. Do I have to carry a lot of equipment? Can I carry it on Metro or something? And these are the things that I usually do. Conversely, it always comes down to me just throwing more stuff on the bike and getting a bigger basket. But sometimes I rethink that equation.
Extra cycle. You ever think about a big cargo bike?
I have thought about trailers and stuff. And in fact, for parking day, because we wanted to do a lot of it by bicycle, it seemed kind of asinine to do all these things for parking day and the environment and stuff, and yet we're going to do it all with cars and diesel and stuff. So we rethought the equation, and one of the things was that the women from Cycle, God bless them, but sometimes they make it. They made it so easy, or seemed so easy, to build a trailer. So I started on Monday and thinking it was going to be done like the next day. It took me up and until parking day on Friday to do this thing. And in fact,
what kind of trailer?
A bamboo trailer. They have it on their site, Cycle. They have.
Did they give you the bamboo?
No, I got the bamboo from somebody. It's not like I had to go out and whatever they call it, scavenge for bamboo. I had bamboo and I had some parts, and I thought to myself, oh, this will take an hour.
And they were teaching how to build a
They
trailer.
I had gone to one of their more than mass transportation days, and they had one of these step-by-step presentations, PowerPoint presentations. And of course, I videotaped it, so I was able to stop it and consult it. So it became like a learning tool. But then I realized this is only if you're like one of these. What's the guy on the PBS show? Not MacGyver. No, that's he takes tin cans and he'll make a trailer out of it. This was like, Norm Abrams or whatever, the guy that's on This Old House. It's like, well, you want to get out there with these tools. It's like I felt like I had all the tools and information, but I was doing this from scratch. I'd never done it before. I think the next trailer I make will probably go a lot faster and stuff. And I guess it's just a matter of wheelbase and distance and size.
Is this up on their site, or do you have to go to
It
a
is
workshop?
on their site, so we could bring it up. But the reason I was doing the trailer was for one specific purpose. But I've noticed since then that I've used it on occasion. Everybody says, well, it's bamboo, won't it break apart? I think the reason it was breaking apart is I did use it for a production that one of the boxes did. They did a car-free production where a lot of it was sustainable. First of all, they had to define sustainable, and a lot of that had to do with re-examining how the film industry does things. They usually have a lot of trucks dedicated to every department. Every department has a truck. Every department is responsible for bringing all their equipment and stuff. And then you really think about it, and it's like, okay, if it's a Panavision thing with film, that means there's a case for every little component for your camera. So for them, they rethought it and said, we're going to shoot digitally anyway. Let's do this with that in mind. And we'll get back to this conversation in a moment. But Nick's got somebody on the phone.
Matthew Moore from Santa Monica Critical Mass. How you doing, Matthew?
Pretty good. How's everything going over there?
It's good. We're talking about, what was it, bike trailers.
Oh, bike trailers. Oh, what kind of bike trailers are you guys talking about?
A bamboo one.
Oh, very nice. So what's that bike trailer? The Bob or something?
What?
Oh, I want to get one of those. I think it's called the Bob.
The Bob?
Bob trailer.
What's that?
One of the good ones. I think it's just a standard trailer. It's actually, I almost forgot about that. When you guys are talking about trailers, that's a good trailer. Put all kinds of stuff in there.
Okay.
Tell them it doesn't just have to be about trailers.
It doesn't just have to be about trailers, though. We could talk about critical mass, too.
Yes, we'll talk about critical mass. Last night was awesome critical mass. We actually started out with like 30 people, but we picked up a whole lot of people along the way, just yelling at people. Pretty much how we gained like half the mass, which is great.
Hold on a second. Somebody's trying to make a left, and they're honking, and you're not supposed to make a left on the street. Sorry. So, okay, continue.
Well,
Please. Sorry.
it was a lot of fun. Everyone had a lot of fun last night. I totally had a lot of fun. And next month will be the 1-year anniversary of my doing of the Santa Monica Critical Mass. So that one is going to be awesome.
Well, you've been like really dedicated to being there and making this happen for a year.
I've been dedicated to make sure that I'm there and people know that I'm there, but unfortunately I've been having a hard time making it something that it should be. It should be way better. It should be way bigger. It should be hyped up. It should be spoke cards. It should be a awesome route that we do awesome things. We do awesome things, but it's all spontaneous, which is great. But I'd like to get it organized.
Yeah, tell me about it. So you're gonna are you gonna take steps towards that?
Well, yeah. Next month I'm going to actually try to do some planning, some major planning, to make sure it's awesome. I was actually talking to there's a local bike advocacy. God damn it.
I got it.
Jesus.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm gonna die over here. I don't do that word.
Just slow
Advocacy. There we go. Santa Monica Spoke, which is a bicycle advocacy group in Santa Monica, and I'm actually trying to figure out how I could get them involved with the ride, because I think it's important to have a physical presence in the city, and I think that's kind of the whole point of having a critical mass, is to show that bicyclists are there and they have a voice and we have people. So I'm trying to get it all worked out together, so we can start actually doing things for the city.
You're the only critical mass in Santa Monica, right? I mean, you are the Santa Monica critical mass.
Yeah, this is Santa Monica critical mass.
And Santa Monica is kind of a bike city.
It is kind of a bike city. They got the bronze medal or whatever for bike friendliness from American League of Cyclists, and actually a lot of people were like upset that they got that because they feel they didn't deserve it, but at the same time they felt, if we got a bronze medal, then maybe they'll try harder for the gold, but I don't think they've really been trying too hard. It's pretty good, but I mean, everything can always be better.
Well, I think of it as being a good bike
It's a great city to bike in. But, you know, there's still like stuff that happens, stuff like isn't enforced, drivers aren't enforced. I actually got hit coming back on the ride last night because someone did they pulled out past the crosswalk to make a left turn, but then so I was like, I went behind them and they decided I'm going to back up. They backed into me. It was very confusing.
Oh. Yeah. So then how did that resolve itself? Did you have words?
Oh, well, they hit me, and I almost ran into a blue bus that was stopped on the corner, and then I just kept on going because I knew that it didn't hurt and it didn't damage me. It just almost knocked me over, but I was just yelling backwards.
Oh.
I kind of just wanted to get home. I've got much too much homework to be worrying about yelling at people.
So you're a student at where?
Santa Monica College.
Of what do you study? What's your major?
Oh, my major is architecture.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I was actually doing art before, but I switched over to architecture because it seems like a more practical thing to do, but also creative.
So you're every first Friday?
Every first Friday of the month at 6:30 is when we meet, and then we leave at 7 o'clock-ish. Someone usually hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Can you wait up? All right. So we live at 7:10.
And where do you meet? You meet at the pier?
And we meet at there's the Santa Monica Pier, and there's a bronze cannon on the right side of the entrance of the pier. It's at the top. I think there's a couple of websites. I have to check out Bike Boom because someone told me that they had something different. They said it just says Santa Monica Pier, so people seem to get pretty confused.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I need a siren or something to
hold on.
distract people.
Have you met Chicken Leather, Matthew?
I have met Chicken Leather.
He wants to ask you a question.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, being an architect student, are you looking at this? Are you re-examining the city with any kind of new eyes? Are you looking for things like, hey, I'm seeing the city, but how can I improve it not only for cyclists, but maybe it's like a full, a double-edged kind of sword. If you improve it for cyclists, you're also improving it for
right. Just kind of everyone.
The car. Have you seen things where hey, this used to be an old gas station. What if it was like a dual-use thing? Maybe there'd be free air for not only bicyclists but cars. I mean, it doesn't have to be one of those things that you always have to throw a quarter into or something.
Right. I'm still kind of in my general ed phases of architecture, so I'm not into it that much.
So what's general ed consist of?
A whole lot of math.
Wow. Have you taken calculus courses
English
yet?
literature. Well, I have to get up to calculus. I actually placed not so great in my math, so I have to go through a number of classes to get there.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, I see the city, and I mean, I don't think you have to even know anything about architecture to see, like, well, you know, I don't think this is, I don't think it's right. It seems pretty inefficient. Like even the streets, it has like a grid system. I think if there was some diagonal streets, I think that would be really nice. But you know,
that's a great kind of thing, because when I was going with somebody in a car the other day, I was relating this story earlier. You naturally want to go like, oh, what's the least amount of turns? And I'm just the opposite now, being on a bike. It's like, I'll find the fastest way there, even if we have to make 5 turns. But we'll get there just as fast. And some people in cars go, oh, I hate making turns. Oh, you make me make a turn. Like, I do this all the time on a bike, and it's fun. and they look at you like, well, we're in a car, and it's a lot different. And, you know, and you go, what? No, it's still a turn.
It seems pretty difficult to like make turns in a car, because I think when you're on a bike, you kind of just flow around everywhere, and it's just really natural, and it doesn't seem like, oh, like one block of a street seems sort of like, oh, like, okay, I've got to go up this block. But when you're in a car, you're going like 40 miles an hour. You like pass blocks, you know, constantly.
I kind of equate it to like a flock of birds now when I'm with a group of bicyclists, because you can turn at a minute's notice, almost like a swarm, but you're not swarming like insects, but you're kind of riding with the waves, the curves, and if you have a good crowd, I don't know if you do it on your critical mass, you announce that if there's a road hazard coming up, like there's rough road coming up, or there's a pothole.
Yeah, people kind of see it and then flow around it.
Yeah. But I'm curious, are you going to be doing more environmental architecture, or are you going to just be like doing some?
I'm actually kind of leaning towards environmental architecture, just because that's just kind of what I'm interested in. I mean, I think it was just sort of like a natural thing. I never thought like I would just be kind of doing architecture to be doing architecture.
Yeah.
I thought like, well, if I'm going to be doing something, it's going to be something that actually makes sense, because I mean, I don't really see how people can just like live unsustainably.
Yeah.
I think it seems like an obvious thing to do.
You bring up the math part. I'm thinking of all the algebra I took that was really boring about, you know, a train leaves Baltimore at such a time and it gets there. But nowadays, I have to admit, a lot of my math is coming in useful when I have applied kind of the bike equation to it. It's like chicken leather leaves kill radio. He has to get to the bike oven, which is 7.2 miles away. If he leaves here at 12:57, traveling at this certain rate of speed, what time will he get to the bike oven? And then, of course, it's always wrong because I stop and I get stories on the way or something like that. But it's the same kind of applied knowledge, you know. Your car gets so many miles per gallon. How many times should you be filling it up before you get to your destination or something like this? It's funny because we always think of math as being an abstract, but nowadays, with the price of gasoline and knowing how much coins are in your pocket, and you have so many coins and they have to add up to 425, I usually sort of succumb to the fact that I don't even add anymore. I just say, okay, Metro Pass is 150, gas is 405, and I got a bicycle that doesn't demand any of this. I think I'm taking the bicycle, and even if I get a flat tire, I'm going to get there faster than anything else. So
Especially
all right.
all the traffic.
The other thing that I noticed out at Santa Monica College, because I've got you on the phone, is they have a program. Do you have your student card? So now you can get on buses for free, right?
Yeah, you can get on buses for free. I don't really remember when they implemented that, but yeah, it's pretty great.
Do you use the bus a lot, or?
Well, I don't use it a lot because it's actually pretty inefficient.
So it's one of those programs that they sort of mention you can do, but you know, blue moon kind of thing. Huh?
It'd be great if the buses like actually did their job, but they really do not hold on to their schedule. Like literally the bus that goes to my house, the number 9, which goes to like Santa Monica to Palisades.
Right.
It's like really popular kind of like in the morning when people are getting like shipped in like maids and stuff to go like clean people's houses in the Palisades. But if you kind of go at nighttime, there's no one really riding it, and sometimes they won't even come. One time I waited for 2 hours for a bus. Yeah.
Wow, I think you've gotten to the point where your bicycle is going to be the fastest way there, regardless.
I think my feet might be faster than the bus, actually.
Ah. Well, now we've gotten to the other thing where I joke with people that I can pace the bus or pace the train sometimes, and people are just saying, "Oh, you're lying." But when you realize it has to make stops, and sometimes it's on a hour-by-hour schedule,
right?
You realize
it's definitely
it is
more efficient to not ride the bus and ride your bike or even skate.
I'm curious. You bring up the point with things like Santa Monica critical mass, and you said you had more fun. Do you equate that into the equation, the fun factor? I know that I'm always talking about things like, and people always say, well, why do you have to bring up Thunderstorm? Why do you have to talk more about music and stuff? And I'm saying, well, this sort of well rounds you. I'm thinking the art rides too. It's the idea that if you're going to converse with people, you want to seem well-rounded, usually of the opposite sex, because if it's friends with you, you tend to drink and smoke a lot, but with other friends, you want to have something of a thing. Have you found that your kind of conversational skills have improved now that you've been on critical mass, or have they sort of diminished?
Yeah, probably. I guess I'm not exactly the most social person, but yeah, it's pretty good. I kind of talk to everyone because everyone just like naturally introduces themselves when they get to the, it's sort of a smaller group than like one of the larger ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think bikes are just great. They're definitely like really social because you're outside the box, you know, outside of the metal and glass box.
Matthew,
like when I'm just running around town, like I'll see people and I'm like, oh, like wave for them. But when you're kind of in cars, everyone's kind of driving the same color car, and they've got like tinted windows, and you can't really see who's who. So it's kind of a different thing. It's like you're outside, but they're inside.
Matthew, this is Nick again. I'm just thinking it's ironic that you describe yourself as not being social, but you're the organizer of a social ride.
Yeah, I know that. I guess that's kind of funny, but I just know that definitely in high school I didn't really have too many friends. It was just because I don't know. I don't really like how a lot of people act and stuff. Or, I mean, I'm 21 now, and I like don't drink. That's like kind of what I mean by not social. People try to stay away from peer pressure and stuff.
Hold on. Do you have to drink to be social, or are you?
No, you don't have to drink to be social, but you know, people, like I think drinking is definitely a very social thing now.
Uh-huh.
It's definitely true.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, and before we wrap this up and just ask you a question, you can answer it, or you can just sort of say, I take the fifth on this.
Go for it.
Have you ever drank and rode your bike?
No, I haven't drank and rode my bike.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, do you think that if you had the choice between getting home on a bicycle or getting home fast in a car after you drank, which one would you really choose?
Well, the thing is, I don't really think you should do any of them. You should probably call a friend. But if you had to do it, I suppose bike would probably be better, because if you're gonna hurt anyone for your actions, which you know you shouldn't be drinking, riding, or biking, at least you're probably just gonna hurt yourself instead of hurting someone else.
All right, I think the gold star is going to go to you today for this one. But they don't give gold stars out in college, do they? Maybe they should.
Maybe they should.
Okay. Well, once again, your critical mass was last night, but it's coming up again when?
Let me see. That it would be May 6th.
May 6th.
Well, yeah, and that will be 1 year anniversary, and it will be awesome.
Being the 1 year anniversary, are you going to be baking cakes or cupcakes or something, or are you going to stop and have a party somewhere? Or?
I'm open to all ideas. I'm definitely going to try to make a legitimate route, maybe have some food stuff, because the thing that we were talking about with Santa Monica Stoke is because like downtown businesses and SMPD have kind of been against us. I don't really know why, maybe because we're like disrupting traffic. Not really sure, but I would like to show that like we're here and we're not enemies. We're friendly people. So we'll probably stop at like a local ice cream shop or restaurant, get some food or something, some outside place.
Uh-huh.
We'll figure it out, but there will definitely be some fun stuff happening.
I'm thinking if you do this in advance, you probably could even talk to some local businesses. I'm sure they'd enjoy the idea that you're bringing in commerce to a place in this economical climate that would otherwise not have anything. And personally, I've gone to places. In fact, this week, everybody thinks that I'm just made of money, but I took my friends over to the Bike District. And first of all, they were amazed not only by the fact that there were so many people on the street in L.A. That was the first thing. They said, this is like a European city. And I said, why? And they said, well, people seem to be at ease. They're not ducking. And there weren't a lot of cars. And I said, well, if that's how you evaluate, yes, I guess we're getting to that point. But the other thing was we went and ate at Pure Luck and had something to drink. And I'm not saying that everything should be vegan or vegetarian or anything, but we were drinking, and it was great, and it was like, I think she enjoyed it, not being a bike rider or anything. Right. But then all my bike rider friends showed up, and it was kind of like holding court or something, so it was a different kind of equation. But what I'm trying to say is that it improved everybody's reality in this sense. So anyway, I'm going to pass the phone back to Nick here.
All right.
Well, I guess I'm just going to say thank you, and we've got another call coming from somebody who did the Biciclista's medical workshop for Ciclavia. Are you going to be at Ciclavia?
Cool. That's when they're opening up this, like, 7 miles of street, right?
Yeah.
I hear there's going to be a Crank Mob sort of water gun ride.
Oh,
yeah,
nice, awesome.
that may be super fun. I may have to be there.
Yeah.
All right, well thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, so next First Friday, 1 month from last night, Santa Monica beer at the Bronze Cannon for the awesome Santa Monica Critical Mass.
It's awesome, yeah. All right.
Thanks, Matthew.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was great.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because being part of Los Angeles, I always had to make a choice about the First Friday because, as we know, that used to be traditionally the night that Ride Arc used to go out. And it was always funny because I always thought, hey, Alex, why don't you include Santa Monica and stuff? He says, oh, well, if you really have to make a choice, you'll be on my ride. And I said, well, why don't we be like bike people and kind of join it all together? And he kind of looked at me like I was talking crack or something. Like, this ain't ever going to happen. But I've actually done it with other things. I've told people, we're going to start out on this ride, and we're going to go to Santa Monica for the Santa Monica Critical Mass. And they looked at me like, Santa Monica's far. I'm going, not the way I ride. It's going to be really nice, and you're going to enjoy the ride. And I said, so it's either distance and enjoy or speed. You'll be sweaty and you'll hate me. And if you give that equation, like, we could stop and get coffee, get a bite, re-energize, rest for a minute, and then keep going on. I think everybody thinks that you have to do the road or the mileage. And I learned this from driving, that the road will be there always. It's just how much you're going to enjoy it. If there's girls and stops and drinks and things, you're going to enjoy it more. And having said that, last week, everybody was amazed that I rode from Highland Park to Los Angeles to the West Side and back. And I said, well, I didn't do it all in one drop. It wasn't like 40 or 50 miles all at one sitting. And I said it was cool out, too, because everybody thought it was going to rain, and it didn't rain. There was good cloud cover. But what was really enjoyable was the fact that I had a lot of great vegetables. I had a whole bunch of apples from the protest march earlier that day that nobody ate. It was kind of weird. Everybody ate the chips and all the bad stuff, and there was just this stack of apples. And I said, what are you doing with them? And they said, I don't know. I guess we're going to throw them out. And I said, can I throw them out for you? Ha, ha, ha. So anyway, Nick's got a phone call.
Yeah, I just also wanted to give a shout-out to Hassan Jamal in Echo Park, who's listening on Facebook.
Okay.
I think this is Alex Thompson.
Mr. Thompson.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. What are you guys talking about today?
What are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about two things.
Santa Monica Critical Mass.
Santa Monica Critical Mass, and we're also talking about the fact that... can you hear me here?
He can't hear you through the...
He can't hear me through this. Okay.
The president was on the air on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah?
And he kind of told us that we're addicted to oil. Or was that the last president? Or was that the president before?
No, I got something I wanted to
You know, when people are addicted to things, like sometimes people who want them to get clean just scream at them, "You're addicted to this. You're addicted to this," which doesn't really help the addict to actually get clean. It just makes them stressed out, right? Like he's like the umpteenth president in a row to tell us we're addicted to oil, but then didn't do anything about it.
Right. So the things to do about it are things like ciclovia.
I think that I think people are gonna quit driving and get on bicycling and walking despite the government, not because of the government. Like the government has presented more of an obstacle than they have helped, and even just get them out of the way. You know, like get them to stop putting cyclists and stuff.
And yet you're getting into politics.
Yeah, well, part of getting rid of the obstacles is having people in power that can get rid of obstacles. You know.
But what I did call you specifically to talk about is the bike plan implementation team meeting. That do you have anything to do with there's something on Bike Side?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the article on Bike Side is by Max Burson, who is a new volunteer for us. He's a pretty hard worker. He's been working like 20, 30 hours a week on this stuff. And
so Bike Side is your blog.
Bike Side is my organization, you could say, and we have a blog, bikesidela.org. And so Max and I have been formulating our talking points, our position for the bike plan implementation team, which is just a group that's implementing all the stuff that was agreed to in the bike. So it's a group of the government agencies and then some of the advocacy groups and then some independents who are all sort of supervising this and advising the implementation process. And if something stinks, we're going to call it out and say it stinks. You know, so that's our role.
So you guys are going to their next meeting in April this month, and you're going to make some suggestions?
Yeah. So in the spirit of maybe government actually having a positive influence, we're trying to get this bike plan implementation process to move forward really fast. And we're going to make, we have 3 big suggestions.
Three suggestions. Okay.
Well, 4, I guess.
I'm reading 4 here on the site, and you're telling me 3, so.
Well, I'll give you 4.
Okay.
The 3 that should be in there in that blog are comprehensive and competitive education program. Whoa. So right now, we don't have a real education program for motorists and cyclists. So nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. So we can just let them figure it out on the road, or we can actually proactively try to educate everybody about what their role is on the road and what's legal, what's not, and how we can be respectful of one another. So that's the first suggestion.
Okay.
Second and third suggestion are 2 projects that we want to move forward. The first is to take Venice Boulevard and finish making it a bikeable boulevard entirely. So if you're familiar with Venice Boulevard, there's a bike lane almost from the beach. It actually stops a half mile before the beach. And then it goes all the way to just before Crenshaw.
Yeah.
But that final segment from Crenshaw to downtown and that final half mile to the beach aren't done. So we'd like to take that 8 mile or 8.5 mile boulevard, or you know, it's sort of like a bike corridor. It's one of the biggest bike corridors in the city. If you're ever out there in the summer, it's just people in swimsuits going up and down all the time on bikes. We want to just extend it, make it go all the way from the west side to downtown. It'll give access to people from South LA and downtown and Northeast LA will have access to the beach continuously by bike, and it'll give people from West LA a clear route downtown. I think it'll be a great corridor. So that's like our number 2 suggestion.
Okay.
And that's actually going to be discussed for like 45 minutes on Tuesday in the meeting.
So that would mean just extending the bike lane?
Well, where possible. It looks like there's going to be sections where it's physically or politically infeasible to extend the bike lane, and in which case then it's time to start talking about other ways we can make it safe. So like heavy-duty enforcement efforts along that route, heavy-duty education efforts, and maybe some sharrows.
Did I hear you correctly? You used the word physically infeasible? You're sounding like Michelle Mowry here.
Okay, well, then don't let me sound like Michelle Mowry.
No, but what I want to ask, though, is you're talking about Venice. I know that when I go from here to the west side, sometimes I'll deliberately take Venice for ways and still ride these streets. I mean, I still get downtown, but I'll have by that time realized that Venice is, I'm not going to get downtown any faster than if I maybe turn left to get more downtown by going over to Olympics or something. So I've created my own route. I'm thinking going the opposite way towards the west side, sometimes it's better to hop on that, what is it, the Bologna Creek kind of thing?
Bayona.
Have you ever done that?
Bayona, well, number one with Bayona and any bike pass is that they're not 24-hour facilities. Like, you're not going to ride Bayona Creek at night, especially you're not going to ride it if you're a smaller woman instead of a bigger man. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you think it gets hinky around all these things at night?
Yeah, and so the one thing is we want a 24-hour thing. The other
So
thing
you're
is,
talking like maybe something like the new section that they did over by LA River where it's all lit up all the time with solar things, so you don't have to worry about the wire being ripped out or anything like that?
Yeah, but even with that, most people won't ride those streets at night because they're isolated, right? Like, if you can ride Venice Boulevard and there's people around, you know, that's a lot different than riding a lit boulevard where there's nobody around. I mean, down here in West LA, Bayona Creek is used by the Culver City Boys to do drug trafficking. So, like, you really don't want to be out there at night unless you're with Taco Tuesdays and 80 other riders.
It's funny you should say that because I just was out there on a Saturday night with Taco Tuesday guys.
Right.
And even though it was the wrong day, they say, well, you won't want to ride this. And in fact, coming back, I did take Venice. And Venice represented or posed some really nice kind of landscape getting from where I was. But I only went just a little bit past the 405. I never thought about even going further out that way.
Well, I when I come out, when I go, say, west side to downtown, I'll take Venice all the way up to La Brea, and then I jog over on La Brea to Pico, and I take Pico the last distance into downtown. And I just find Pico to be I'll take the lane on Pico, but the lights are timed such that I just find Pico to be a better ride. What you could do then is say, oh, we're going to make Pico great. But if you do that, then you have a great street and a not-so-great street in Venice. But if you make Venice great, then you have a good option at Pico and a great option. So my question is to you is, do you want a good and a great? Do you want a choice between good and great, or do you want a choice between great and not great? You know, great and poor.
Okay, so, I'm going to say, like Joe Linton, aren't we a big enough city that we get it all?
But that's the point. If you already have a good option in one location, it's better to take a place that's not good, a poor option, and turn it into a great option, rather than take that good up, because then you have at the end of that process, if you take a poor option and change it into a great option, you've already got the other option, which is good. You've got a great option and a good option at the end of the process. If you take a good option and improve it and don't do anything to the poor option, now you've got great and poor. So great and good is better, particularly because you want to have choices. Like, Pico won't always make sense for you. Venice won't always make sense for you. So you need choices. Just like cars have choices to get across the city, we need to have choice.
Yeah, you're going to get to the other points now.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So no, we did that, and we're sorry.
No, everybody's sorry. We're all very, very sorry.
I'm sorry.
We're all sinners, what have you. No, the other project we want to do is Sepulveda, and these are a little west side heavy, but we want to do some stuff in South LA and in the Valley too. And the reason we want to do Sepulveda is because if you finish that Venice facility, you now have 14 miles of Venice, and we want to do Sepulveda from Venice to Santa Monica Boulevard because in Santa Monica Boulevard we already have 1.8 miles in LA that's done, and we already have about 1.5 miles that's done in West Hollywood. And in between, there's a gap in Beverly Hills. But what people may not know is that Beverly Hills is probably going to do something in 2012. So soon, we'll have about 6 miles of bike facility on Santa Monica Boulevard going all the way from Sepulveda to West Hollywood. So if you then do the Sepulveda piece that connects down to the Venice Boulevard, you now have a way from people from Hollywood to access the beach without having to leave a facility the entire way. And you have the same option for UCLA. So it's a way to connect Hollywood and UCLA to the beach. And it's only 2.9 miles. So then we have a big piece of network. And so our philosophy at Bikeside is like, doing a 10-mile project is good, but if you could do a 2-mile project to connect 2 8-mile projects, that has more synergy. We want to close the gaps. And that's one of those gaps that's perfect.
All right, I'm going to let you get to the other point, but I wanted to interject here that after seeing something like Tokyo, where there was no gas and everything, and I wasn't here for the last big earthquake. I was in a foreign country, and then when I came back, they said, the 405 is broken up, and they're working around the clock to get it done because they look at this as like a vital artery for commerce and all this other thing. They were projecting how much they save. I'm thinking if there is no whatever, there'll still be the availability of bikes for this, and we're seeing this in Japan now, where even the most horrible road can still be navigated with a bike, even before it's cleared out. This would be a great kind of thing to have as a backup to the car network, because nobody's going to be able to get gas unless they wait in a long line. I know a lot of my friends are going to just say, screw that, I'm taking my bicycle. So it becomes almost like an emergency kind of thing. I don't think we've ever looked at it like that, but if you have a viable bikeway to get somewhere, this is like an emergency artery in an emergency.
Well, Max Person, who wrote this piece, has been talking about the fact that the 405 is being shut down here in West LA. And what people don't realize, when we went out to the valley to talk about Wilbur Avenue, and they complained about congestion, I was kind of laughing inside because they don't have real congestion over by Wilbur Avenue. They got to come to the west side and see what it's like on Sepulveda during rush hour. And now we're going to have the 405 closed. You're not going to want to drive a car through West LA in the evening ever for the next year. And Max's point was like, well, this is the perfect time to get people on bikes because people who want to drive 2 miles to the grocery store aren't going to be able to do it. And so this is our opportunity to say, hey, if you're riding a bike, this trip would take you 1/3 as long.
So let me just clarify this in my head here. So people are going to take from Hollywood, they're going to go down Santa Monica in 2012.
In 2012, if we do Sepulveda and we make sure that Beverly Hills, if we do this section of Sepulveda and we make sure that we do this section, and we make sure that Beverly Hills does this section of Santa Monica in 2012, you would have to get out of Hollywood into West Hollywood on your own, but then you would be able to pick up a facility in West Hollywood, ride that all the way to Sepulveda and Santa Monica Boulevard, drop down Sepulveda Boulevard to Venice Boulevard, and take Venice Boulevard all the way to Venice Beach.
And then Venice Beach is going to be like the most important place in the world.
In the summer, it's always the most important place. In the winter, nobody goes there.
It's sad. So,
but it's just like we gotta have like what we ultimately want, right? Is like when you're in Hollywood, you want to be able to say, oh, here's my route to get to San Pedro, here's my route to get to North Hollywood, here's my route to get to downtown, and here's my route to get to Venice. And that's what we're trying to do. Is like, okay, this one is like we're just being opportunistic. We can do only 2.9 miles and solve a problem.
This sounds a lot like Ron Milan tried to do something years ago, and I'm sure he did it with a bike path, bike share kind of thing, where somebody could guide you once, and then after you get the path, you're going to be willing to do it again. I always thought that they've been trying to develop Compton Creek along those same lines, but like you say, it gets to be like, I've ridden it with a group. Am I going to really ride it by myself? And I'm thinking, once you get to a point where it's safe enough to ride by yourself, maybe you will take Venice. And I'm thinking the next step would be to light it. The next step would be to make it. We'll try to get paint first, but then we'll try to get something that, not so much an elevated bike lane, but a separate bike lane or something.
Like, one thing is the three of us are all warriors. We're like road warriors. We went out there and figured it out on our own, and our friends did it. I remember Ron Durgan teaching me routes. I remember Andrea Clemens teaching me routes. I remember Orlando, the messenger, teaching me routes. And so we take some convoluted routes. But the next generation of cyclists are going to be people that don't know other cyclists, and they're going to need to have really easy routes that are really easy to remember. Like, they can't be making 12 turns to get from Hollywood to downtown. They need to make 2 turns to get from Hollywood to downtown. So that's why we need, like, really long, straight corridors that you can navigate.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what, if it's not simple, people aren't going to do it.
Yeah, well, we've talked more about the roads themselves. What about signage to get to these things? I know that now I have to remember where to turn to get to Bologna Creek. Do you think they'll ever make some signs, or is this a DIY project where I just have to go out there, make them look the same color, and people think that the city put them up?
Well, you remember that guy put that sign up on the 5?
Absolutely. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, the artist, and he did it so well that they didn't take it down.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in San Francisco they do some pretty radical stuff, but they kind of have the endorsement of the city where they mark potholes and so forth. So, you know, I don't see a reason why we can't do DIY. But yeah, down the line we need some signage.
Right. I think I'm looking at doing, talking and doing some art and stuff with the people at Caltrans who are responsible for some of the signage, and they've done some good work there trying to, I'm looking at it like one less car, one more bike person is, you know, less congestion. You're going to take that, your car is going to move a little bit better and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's Nick again. Hey, Alex, so I just wanted to get to was that, what number of that, of your...
Oh, that was 3. The 4th one is Insider Baseball, which is the B-Pit, like, pick the top 10 list of projects to focus on next. And when I say the B-Pit picked it, it really was a handful of people that were prepared to submit a top 10 list, and other people, such as Bikeside, we didn't know that was going to happen. We were sort of ambushed. So we took a look at the top 10 list, and we think that it's way off base and that we need to revise it. This top 10 list of projects that they're going to look at B-Pit, every project but one starts within 5 miles of downtown. So it's a very downtown-centric list.
Yeah.
And it leaves out the Valley, it leaves out the West Side, it leaves out South LA. And so from our point of view, there's just not enough geographic equity. And so, like, we want to get on top of it right now and fix it because, you know, right now it's just not fair.
And BPIT is the Bicycle Plan Implementation Team.
That's right.
And the meeting will be?
Tuesday, 2 p.m. in City Hall, Office 721, which is the City Planning Division.
And if people can't make it on April 5th, then what was there a second chance for them?
Well, it's always going to be the first Tuesday, so there'll be whatever it is in May, it'll be in May as well. But of course, we're going to blog it, and if you ever want to help us with it, we're into it. We do call sheets, and we go out and we call everybody and say this is what we're interested in, and so.
Okay, well, and so this is Alex Thompson from Bikeside LA and Bikeside.
You can get a hold of me by writing contact@bikesidela.org.
Great. Thanks, Alex, for illuminating all that for us.
Now, are you guys going to Cyclovia?
Yeah.
What are you guys wearing?
What are we wearing? I'm wearing probably my Cyclovia T-shirt from last time. You're beginning to sound like old girlfriends, you know? It's like, what are you wearing, you know? What are you wearing now?
Are you going to Crank Mob?
Actually, is that tonight?
No, Crank Mob is going to be at Cyclovia.
Oh, I heard about that. Somebody was making a rumor they're all going to get wet and stuff. So I guess
it's going to be a water gun ride, yeah.
I'm going to wear white with stripes underneath so you can see my underwear. See? No, I mean, come on. This is probably a springtime Cyclovia, so I'm thinking more warm tones. Not to get all Oprah on you, but I'm thinking some nice summer colors. Want to be visible, but not too visible, and I'm going to try and see, everybody, and that's what I was trying to say, everybody was saying that the mayor was going to come out for the last Cyclovia in all spandexed out and stuff, and I'm going, why should he? It's just a simple ride with his family, and he, in fact, didn't stay for the whole thing. He had to go to his daughter's thing, and I thought to myself, that's how it should be. You don't have to ever get dressed up for a bike ride. I mean, it's more advantageous for you doing 100 miles to be in spandex. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
If I'm going on one of these rides or whatever, I usually dress how I'm going to go there when I get there. And I'm saying a lot of it people say is, well, you know, it's going to rain, so you throw a coat that's rain-worthy or maybe a slicker. You know, it's like, well, it's going to be a formal thing. Okay, well, I won't wear the heavy suit jacket. I'll just sort of throw that in the bag and have like a windbreaker or one of those, you know, funny car shirts or something, so, you know, that people can see me, but it's still that. I think a lot of it has to do with the visibility on the road, too. For me, I try to wear lighter colors at night, and during the day, you know, sometimes kind of a half and half kind of thing, so. But I've gone through 3 or 4 tweed jackets.
You don't have, like, a chicken suit or like a bear suit in your closet that, you know,
oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
Well, you know, being in the film industry, everybody has the prerequisite. They get passed out the free ape suit.
Oh, I thought you were a Freemason. Don't the Freemasons always have wizard outfits and stuff?
Yeah, and then in the other closet I have the TARDIS and the time machine. So just because you got to go back on, if people want to find out the roots of stuff, it's like they don't believe anything in the internet. You have to actually show them, which means getting the prerequisite. What is it? The 2 pounds of plutonium that generate 1.9 gigawatts.
Scientology is our number one, contributor over here at Bikeside.
Well, that's fantastic. I noticed that we're not riding a lot of DeLorean time machines anymore. I'm the first generation that wants to get to a bicycle time machine. So,
dude, I'm gonna have some, those Vibram 5-finger shoes, the ninja shoes. You can make those into time machines. You just have to be able to run 88.8 miles an hour.
Yeah. See, that's the one that was put forward by the Michael J. Fox and all those other things. I don't think time really has to be transcended that fast. You don't have to get into DeLorean and tear people up.
You're a slow time kind of guy?
I think, we talk about time machines as being things that have to go fast and they're all glitzy and stuff. I think that in some respects, a time machine can be as simple as an old Raleigh, touring bike that you might want to put some tweed on and go with the cycle girls. In my book, that's real time travel. If you've ever seen some of those women out on those rides, you realize, wow, maybe they did have it right back in the 1940s. They all get gussied up and they're drunk before, 2 in the afternoon. You realize, hey, they had something going on there. But anyway, Alex,
all right, guys,
thank
nice
you for
talking to you.
calling, and we're going to get to our next little thing. Thank you, and ride safely. See you out there at Ciclavia.
See you at Ciclavia.
So I said I would call Dr. Michael Kahn back.
Okay, we're gonna call Dr. Kahn back, and in the meantime, you're listening to Bike Talk here on Kill Radio and the podcast on KPFK, and want to remind you once again, if you hadn't heard already, Cyclavia is next Saturday. This would be the day to go out there and not ride, but maybe, and I'm using a car equation, kick the tires, not to kick them just because you don't like them or kick them so hard they go out of true, but just make sure that they're nicely inflated. Also, that there's air. You have, I like to say, follow the ABCs of bike maintenance, which is air in the tires. B, check the brakes. Make sure you can stop. If you don't have brakes, make sure that
Can you hear me?
you know how to do it. And we're going to get to our next call.
Maybe you want to try a different line, a different number?
No, this is good. We're actually on the air.
Okay. Hi, my name. Are we on the air?
Yes.
Good. I had some good news about bicycle-friendly universities.
Oh, good.
The League of American Bicyclists has this program where they award cities and universities now. This is the first year that they've awarded to universities a distinction of being bicycle-friendly. And UCLA has been awarded a bronze award in that category.
Well,
and that's great news.
That's good.
So from now on, cycling is ever so much better in and around UCLA.
Because of the medal?
Because of the medal, yes. you have the medal, and that makes everything much better, doesn't it?
Well, like in The Wizard of Oz, that was all
yes,
it took.
Exactly.
Are you being...
of course, we're speaking tongue-in-cheek, but it is a good beginning, in a sense. Because when an institution which is not very bike friendly, by the way, in real life, applies for such a distinction and it gets such a distinction, then a process has started. They're kind of hooked. Now they want to go to the next level.
I just had this exact same conversation with Matthew Moore, who does the Santa Monica Critical Mass, about Santa Monica's bronze medal.
Absolutely, that was the process. And Alex Thompson, whom we just heard on the phone, was very instrumental in kind of directing the anger against that award into something that is now a process.
What is the process that came from?
There's now now we have a process that the city is taking cycling a bit more serious, and things are going to happen. We have a constituency to work with it, and the same thing is hopefully going to happen at UCLA, where of course many things are still very difficult for cyclists, But now that that we can address the university as apparently being bike-friendly, we can call out the shortcomings. That's a good position to be in.
Like what are some of its shortcomings?
Oh, well, the big shortcomings are, of course, the access to campus, And there is a 2006 bicycle master plan, which was adopted by the campus 5 years ago now, and that had as its first priority to improve access to UCLA campus, and nothing has happened there. They've adopted that resolution and decided never to go ahead with it. And they had plenty of, and what's happening around campus is really, very, very dire. The 405 widening, we just heard about it before. The way to reach campus from Beverly Hills, say, through the country club there is very difficult. There's so many obstacles to connect with bikes to campus, which is really a big problem.
So
and then the other one, the big one, is the National Cemetery, which has been closed since 9/11, which used to be open and afforded a connection between Brentwood and Westwood. All of those things. Now that the campus is a bicycle-friendly campus, we can talk about these things anew.
What did you think of the Alex Thompson's plan to have Santa Monica connect to Sepulveda, to connect to Venice, to the beach?
Perfect. I couldn't quite imagine how it would work and how he would get across the National Cemetery, and maybe there are some streets. How he would connect to UCLA, I don't have quite his map in front of me, but if it works, it would be great. And that opens also a whole new kind of bike tourism opportunity. Once a path like that is in operation, it can be marketed as a bike tourism destination.
What is, Dr. Michael Kahn, what is your title with Sustainable Streets?
I think I'm the secretary there.
And what is Sustainable Streets' job, mission?
Sustainable Streets is a bicycle education and encouragement nonprofit. And we work mostly with league-certified cycling instructors. And these are people who can tell you how to ride your bike safely and predictably and assertively on the road. And we work with cities and other agencies to offer these classes. And we try to come to a point where these classes are being offered for the students free of charge, so that it becomes a city service of some kind,
And we got a lot of I think we got a lot of interest in the conversations we've had about bike sharing and your position on bike sharing, which at first seemed to me to sort of go against the conventional thinking, which is that, well, it seems to me that most people think bike sharing is good, and you're saying it's not good.
Well, I didn't quite say it wasn't good. I think my position was, let's look at the numbers and see how much, what we're spending for it, Right. Don't jump ahead of ourselves just because someone is spending money on a bike program. It doesn't mean that it really addresses the issues, It's maybe just that we are happy that someone is spending money on something with bikes, and that is not really reflecting the benefit that we get for that money.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean to say not good.
There are different ways of bike sharing. Even bike theft is a form of bike sharing. And there's yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I'm encountering this view more now. I'm hearing it more since we brought it up. That it's important that we ask ourselves what are we getting for it, and not be carried away. Oh yeah, someone's putting money down, And yesterday I spoke to a student at UCLA. He's going to write something for the student newspaper there, and he asked me, what would I do with $1 million to change the bicycle facilities on campus? And that's the important question. Then you sit down and you say, what would I do with $1 million? Where would I start to spend it? Is it possible that bike sharing is something that money shows up for that wouldn't otherwise be there? So it's not a one or the other type thing, but that bike sharing is comes with its own money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Could be.
Hold on, Chicken Leather has a question.
Okay.
Mike, I'm reminded when we talk about bike share on a campus that it actually does work in some respect, almost like a bike library.
On a campus, and UCLA, for instance, good for them. They do have a little bike share program. They have 50 or so bikes that they check out to their students for a term for $35, and then they have another bike share, Bruin bike program, where they allow supply bikes to departments, and then any member of the department can use it for on-campus trips. And in both cases, these are probably trips which are mostly on-campus trips. And,
right.
And so some of these on-campus trips are car trips, and that's important to replace them.
Yeah.
Others are pedestrian trips, of course.
Well, it's funny because we always think of action starting with the student movement, and in fact, someplace like Occidental, they started something because somebody else said, why don't you guys have a bike share program? And they said, well, nobody ever had one. And he says, well, I had one in my old school. Let's start one here. Mm-hmm. And in fact, Ramon started this program. It continues to this day, but it's made up of bikes that were either donated from, I know the Bike Oven donated a few, and some of them were just bikes that people had left behind that they didn't know how to repair. So it's really simple to get those bikes into the equation. I'm wondering if you really need a big fiduciary kind of financial payoff to get people at a university involved in something like this. And it was great to hear that news.
That monetary input when you think about making it comfortable for everybody,
right,
and people not being willing to learn how to pump up their tire and not being able to park their bike at home and things like that. And then you enter into a mentality where you want to offer a service to a consumer who doesn't care about the object. It doesn't need to be in control of it.
Yeah, Mike, I'm reminded of how it works in the film industry. All the big stars get stylists and stuff and everything, and it'd be nice to go out there and say, oh, yeah, I get to have a stylist today to actually remind me what to wear and have my bike pumped up and just have my cappuccino ready. But let's be honest, nobody can afford that.
The rest of us like to live our own lives and maybe like to have a connection with the objects that we use, and this connection, even your big competitor, which I hate very much because it's called car talk. What is it about? It is really about enabling people to understand that black box that is their car, and to understand how to operate it. So they educate people what to do with it, and then I don't understand why a bike sharing supplier should come in and say, oh, I just want to offer that perfect service like a dry cleaning service to people who don't need to know anything about how it works inside.
Yeah, it's funny because with something like Car Talk, when you talk about this, I remember the old days when Car Talk used to be not two guys click and clack, but it was actually some really well kind of versed guys on KPFK that a lot of the conversation went towards repair. Mm-hmm. And with a bike, there is a certain amount that we could talk about repair here. In fact, we're looking at a future show about internal hubs and braking methods. But getting back to this, we look at this as not a competition, but a further sort of validation that people are looking at other alternative methods, but they're so entrenched. I mean, the car not only has the road's already built, it also has freeways, it also has, if you get hungry, drive-through restaurants, it has drive-through coffee things. So we see all this stuff that's just being sort of facilitated if you join in and get your license in your car and you pump up with gas. To break this habit, you're having to provide a whole new set of rules and changes. And I like to think that it's not just rules to be broken, but rules that can benefit some other people and stuff. And as I've been talking this whole time, we want to tell you here at Kill Radio, we have a good vista out here to look at. Good. There have been at least 30 different kinds of bicycles going by. I mean, there's been hundreds of cars, but there's people that are actually riding their bike. It's a beautiful day today. The sun breaks through every once in a while, but it's a nice day.
Yeah.
So, that being said, the university is embracing this. It sounds fantastic. It sounds
the university has been hooked in. They have taken the bait. How do you say? The bait?
Either one.
And they're now on the line, on the fishing line, and now we can slowly start to haul it in, this catch, and turn the metal into some kind of reality.
Yeah, I wonder if equating bike riders to dead fish is really going to get winners of people.
No, it's the campus which is the dead fish,
Yeah.
not the bike riders.
I like to think they're dolphins.
Yeah, and by the way,
Frolicking
we
fun
have a
dolphins.
little blog. If anyone wants to look up what's happening at UCLA, it's called bicycle-academy.org, and there's a little write-up about what's happening
Ooh,
there.
this sounds official. Now, when I think of universities and bikes, I think of something more along the lines of Hogwarts, where everybody has nice little uniforms with patches on it. Do you think there's ever going to be branding like that again, where a bike club will have their patch and stuff? It harkens back to motorcycles, but I'm thinking you could get it more with academia, where you go, hey, that's somebody that rides a bike. I'm gonna give them a little more room. They're doing their bit to save the world, one bicycle ride at a time.
Yeah, and of course, it's starting at a university campus. They call UCLA a world-class university, and it no doubt is. But this is where the smart people reside, thousands of them. And we have Nobel Prize winners on campus who are cycling, and we have all kinds of smart people who have their bicycles sitting at home. I met a professor recently who occasionally rides from Malibu to UCLA on his bike. And these are the heroes, and you find them on the campus because smart people like to cycle.
Yeah,
goes together.
It's funny because I recently been dealing with some dental issues, and I've been going down to SC, not to get the rivalry started, but there was a doctor in the dental department that rode his bike to work.
There you go.
And it was like, hey, he rides his bike too. And it's like, well, yeah, he wants to get here on time. And they kind of looked at me and I said, where he's coming from and the time he's leaving, that's the most viable piece of transportation that's going to get him here on time.
Good.
And it was funny because he said the same thing. He says often on occasion there's a traffic jam and he couldn't get there. And so the bike solved
Let me
that.
ask you something.
Sure.
Have you ever heard about a bike club or school-based bicycle education effort that does some kind of formation riding with the kids, and where cycling, group cycling, turns into some kind of a performance, a ballet, or something like that? Is that something that you've heard happening?
I'm familiar with a couple of. There was one movie in the Bike Film Festival that sort of partied on, sort of was part of that, and then there was also the Alien ride, but that was more like an inflated kind of performance art piece and stuff. And then of course, I'm reminded of the the breezy kind of the musical thing downtown that was with the Colburn Center. And that musical thing, almost like a bike bell kind of ensemble.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know about movement and dance with the university kind of thing, if only because
at the school level.
I think that equates more with Circus du Soleil and some of their things than it does with...
a little bit of circus is in there, yeah.
Yeah, they always like to throw that together. But
if anyone knows about that, let me know.
It's funny because when my first introduction to dance was in college with people like Tish Brown, and people taking me to these things. And when I thought of dance up to that point, I was always thinking of ballet or tap dance or something more formalized.
There was back. I mean, you know that I've come from Germany, and I've studied a little bit the history of cycling back in Germany. And there was a very strong movement of indoor cycling, especially during the winter time.
Right.
And they had a little bit of a military structure there, with one person in charge, and he had this little troop, and he would give orders and shout these orders in a certain manner. And then they had a very rigorous system of evaluating these performances under aesthetic criteria, for beauty and for variation and things like that. And then they would have a national competition system where judges would be judging these performances of groups of cyclists cycling indoor, and that was a very important part of the labor movement back in Germany.
I know that
back to the 1910s and 20s.
I'm not as versed as you, but I'm reminded of what I remember his first name, Oscar something, with the Weimar Republic and Bauhaus and stuff. He was trying to do something with bikes, but it was more like a performance piece. I think similar to how the Peking kind of opera does. They had somebody balance and stuff, but
I'm not familiar with that. I know that here in America, bicycle was used more. They sort of opted more for the racing and stuff. In a while back in the 30s and 40s, I remember seeing a film at the
and the
film festival
racing
again.
is, of course,
They had the 6-day races, and in fact, they used to do it at Madison Square Garden on a flat track, and that was more like doing an indoor Tour de France around an oval thing. More
but
like
if you compare the sports, then the emphasis on racing is competition, and it's the winner, single cyclist. It's the individual, you know.
Yeah,
and whereas a group sport, like performing as a group in a closed environment, is much more speaks much more to the social dimension of cycling.
Yeah, I always thought that would be something to do for something like Ciclavia. I know that we at the Bike Oven once went out for a parade, and I was trying to get them to do things just like, you know, the cops. They always get out there with their motorcycles and they do everything but get into accidents and do chicken races. But I always thought it would be fun to do it. And at one point, one of our Steve Campos, who's our welder, he knows how to backward pedal and all that stuff. He was doing tricks with a sombrero, and then we were having a little bit. The next time we did it, we had a sort of a pre-stage kind of polo course where we hit around a big ball, so it looked kind of ridiculous. But it sort of gave people the idea that we were having a lot of fun on bikes, and I think that was the enticement for somebody that hadn't been on a bike in a while. And I see this all the time.
Imagine that happening with a group of 10 or 15, 12-year-olds, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And that would be a winner, wouldn't it?
Well, see, that's the other thing you're arguing now. Most kids, when they come into my bike collective, I know they come into a lot of them, are not looking for BMX bikes like I had when I was a youth, or, you know, God forbid,
they want a
anything
fixed
else.
gear.
Exactly. They want a fixed gear bike that they can.
And these are ideal to make these little more controlled behaviors.
Right, and they're sort of base level bike that they want to pay for. Their dad's thinking it's like, well, no more than, you know, $50 to $100. And I really hate to be the bearer of bad tidings when I tell them, oh, you're talking about, you know, V wheels and, you know, deep V wheels and some nice Yeah, I said you're looking at a bike that probably, you know, starts at $500 or something. They kind of, you know, gulp and say, well, we're going to fix another bike or something. So, but anyway, it's great to hear this, and hopefully there will be more of an artistic kind of slam to that. I'm reminded that this year also Trick Milla is going to be doing some more bike bell ensembles to coincide with not this Ciclavia, but the ones during the summer. And in fact, Art Cycle 2 is talking about moving that whole day-long festival where they block the street in Santa Monica Boulevard here in East Hollywood. Yeah, opening them up, opening the streets up. They're going to be doing that hopefully to coincide with this, so it seems more of a summer festival as opposed to something they sort of stick in the winter that utilizes that week or two between spring and Lent.
Okay.
So, well, thanks for calling us, Mike.
Thank you, and we'll talk soon again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good job. For us, Bike Talk.
Yeah. Wow, what a day, huh?
Yeah.
So we've reminded everybody a couple times about Ciclavia, but we just also want to remind them that there's other things going around in Los Angeles. And last week I got out of here early on my own show to go and check out some artwork that Tick. We tried to get Tick on the line. We never got him. So the way we're going to get Tick on Bike Talk, because he's usually one of these artists that gets up at the crack of dawn, and this is the middle of the day, and so he's getting lunch usually when we do our show, is to actually go out there and tape him at his opening. So this is going to be about 3 or 4 minutes of some of the things that were going on at last week's Buck Wild Gallery. And as luck would have it, that's right, we met some people from some other rides. It is Kill Radio Bike Talk, also on the podcast of KPFK, and you're magically transported to the west side, the Buck Wild Gallery, and Chicken Leather is ridden up on his flying pigeon. Here's the dialogue.
I talked to him at Secure, and he never got on the phone. We never got a hold of him. Just blurred it. Thought it would be here. That's right. We're at Buck Wild. You
half a lap is his excitement.
Is this a flying pigeon?
Yes, it is, actually.
I actually had to build one of these from the ground up.
No, that's an evil way. No, really, they're horrible to build.
The rims weren't even built.
Yeah.
I had to build the wheels. These bikes are the worst bicycles ever manufactured.
Pretty much.
I told these people, they have a whole bunch of them. I said, I will not build any more. If you want me to build any more of these, it's going to cost you $300 a bike. Or
absolutely.
A bike,
Absolutely.
Because they're such pieces of shit. Half the stuff doesn't fit. It's all, and there's so many little things you have to put together to make it work. And then when you finally do get it together, none of the shit works. The brakes don't work. The freewheels are half frozen.
Absolutely.
The fucking rims are messed up. All this kind of shit. And brand new, you try to tighten something and it's stripped out.
All right.
And not one thing, but 5 or 6.
One more minute of this, and then we'll get to the phone call. The only bike that's made it through Koreatown, like for the last 6 months, without doing anything to it. I literally.
Well,
Today,
I noticed you put a seal bearing.
yeah, it's a different bearing set. It's a different crank set. I got rid of the cotter pins, and it's a coaster brake in the back. So basically, this is the coaster brake challenge bike, except I put 2 fenders and a rack on the back.
Well, yeah, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but you took a lot of the things off of it that made it.
So what I'm trying to say is we've re-engineered it so it actually stands up with its heavy-duty steel frame to some of the streets here in Koreatown and points east of there, with the roads being what they were. Well,
this guy was getting a little belligerent.
Oh no, that's Paul from Atomic Cycles. He does the Coaster Brake Challenge, and miraculously, my bike hasn't fallen apart like everybody else's bike. And this is like the 5th time I've done it. So you figure that everybody else gets basically almost a new bike or rebuilds their hubs every time. I pretty much have stayed with the same bike that I ride on the streets for this racing. So I've only found this frame to work and another lightweight frame that
Flying Pigeon, piece of shit or awesome coaster brake challenge winner?
I think it's something you might want to re-examine if you're not in a total hurry to get through the streets, because they'll stand up to the abuse of some of these corroded infrastructure, pothole-laced bike paths that are still here from Koreatown, whatever. Who's on the phone, Nick?
From the Biciclistas Medical Workshop, right, Mark?
Yeah. Well, yeah, basically.
We want to correct that a little bit or modify?
Well, I was just helping out with, getting the word out for it. But yeah, a couple of my friends are the ones doing the workshop.
All right. So it was last weekend, right? But for the first time ever, or was that?
It was the first of what I think they're hoping to be a follow-up event. Probably to also get people to sort of become more confident in what they learned the first time around, because it was a sort of introduction on what to do when you sort of see someone hurt, or what kind of reactions should you be looking out for, things like that, and basically to give them enough information so that if they wanted to volunteer with Ciclavia, that they would sort of give them like either some medical paraphernalia, like gauze and whatnot, and so if they saw something along the route, then they could know how to at least help treat, and then also know when to go back to the medical staff and say, this is like really serious, we need more attention than obviously they're qualified to do. So it's actually pretty cool, and it's just one workshop, so I think most people would understand that you're not going to walk away knowing how to be a certified whatever, but it was still fun, and we got a good turnout. It was about, I think it was like close to 25 or 30 people or something like that.
Wow, that's good. That's a good turnout. Here's chicken leather. Hey, it's a bicycle event, and it's a slow bike event. Were there really that many injuries, or was it mostly twisted ankles? Or I'm thinking you could probably tell us what was the most common kind of injury or something. Was it a bruise, or did you have to do ice or anything, or was it real CPR or something like that?
From what I understood, out of the 60,000 or so people that showed up. I think there was 2 accidents, and they were both mainly, like, one guy was riding downhill while talking on the cell phone or something like that. Another person I think it was like a heat issue, like heat, just overheating or something like that. And there was another bike sort of wreck or something like that, but nothing. I think it was like 2 bike wrecks and one other incident. So it was pretty mellow for in relation to how many people showed up. So yeah, I think part of it is the fact that a lot of people were riding slow, and there wasn't all these wild sort of races going on or anything like that. Everyone kind of kept their cool.
Okay, so are you guys gonna do the people who were trained with you last week, do they have some kind of way of identifying themselves as trained biciclistas?
Well, so the workshop was hoping to get people to show up to then volunteer. So whoever follows through to volunteer, that's sort of another issue. But if someone does decide to volunteer and signs up for one of the medical booths that I think Kaiser's sponsoring, then they would, I think they're going to have like 2 different scenarios. One is they'll give you like this sort of sling with like a little medical kit in it. So if you're riding around the route, you can sort of, see if anybody along the route has, hurt or whatnot. And then I think they'll have people that are just going to volunteer at the booth. And then at the booth, I think there's going to be like some doctors and nurses and whatnot. So whoever decides to volunteer is sort of a whole other story. The workshop was mainly to try to get people interested in volunteering. And I think the bigger, sort of broader thing, too, is to get people to learn how to look out for one another. I think it ties in really good with, like, some of these night group rides and whatnot. So, you could kind of look out for one another. If there were some people that had more of an understanding of how to treat crashes and, cuts and, look for, signs that a person is more injured than you might otherwise not have thought they were. So there was sort of the narrow ciclovia aspect to it, and then there's sort of the broader training general public in knowing how to administer certain things for themselves.
So when I ride my bike around town, just briefly in the few minutes we have left, I carry some what they call, I guess it's called Soldier, which is like an antiseptic. I used to carry some alcohol, not the drinking, but more like the rubbing kind, and bandages and just a dry cloth, which I always feel that can be used even to take grease off. But if I'm not taking grease, I can use it as a compress or with the alcohol, do these things. And if I'm any worse, I have a cell phone to call somebody. Is there some sort of simple medical kind of thing that you carry, Band-Aids or what have you, when you just travel around town?
Personally, I if I'm, I guess of the more, like mountain biking, I carry sometimes maybe some Band-Aids and like a antiseptic wipe.
Yeah.
That's about it. I mean, there's, I don't carry too much. It's sort of one of those things like if you get scraped up pretty bad and you think you need to get back down the mountain, you just kind of get back down. But yeah, I don't carry too much with me. I think maybe I should. I don't know, but I don't. Yeah. You don't really run into too many scenarios like that. I think the main thing is just. I think it's great to learn that stuff. I think it's rad. I think people should be inclined to learn how to sort of do their own, self repairs and stuff. So
yeah, I'm thinking it's more like, I do my bike repairs. Why not me being part of the engine? Have something as simple, and I think medical training is evolved so where somebody does know how to do CPR. If you had a room of strangers, somebody does kind of know how to not so much lance a wound, but they can do the Heimlich if somebody's choking or something. So it's the immediate kind of thing. And then usually there's enough of a knowledge base or like a brain trust within there that you can get things done. I'm feeling that this is probably the start of something with your organization. Maybe you can get to a point where it'll be doctors on bikes.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, I'm excited about the prospects of it. I've been talking to them about. One of the doctors is my good friend. I was telling her, like this would be really cool if you could, keep doing some follow-up workshops and people can really get confident in their understanding of what they need to do in different scenarios. I mean, they even went. One of the cool things that they touched on in the workshop was if someone's tooth got knocked out, that you can actually replace the tooth. You could put the tooth back in. You can sort of shove it back in with the person's consent or whatnot, and how to take care of the tooth. Like, what do you could put it in milk or to keep it wet. And so there were some certain interesting things that you probably wouldn't know otherwise. That I think are they're along the lines of like survival skills. So I think that's cool.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot for talking to us today.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
See you at Ciclovia.
All right, see you.
Bye.
All right, what a day. I know you want to put on the Bike Talk music, but I have a special feature here. Only today, I dug out something from last time Ciclovia. It's some sitar music that we were privy to. So this is Bike Talk on KPFK, and we're going out with this and Kill Radio. This is what I remember most. This and the Love Shoot.
All right, so we'll see you next week on Ciclovia.